Hey, lucky me, lucky it's Fireside chat time, so I'd like to call up Sam Taylor from Direct Line Group. Come and join me in front of our pretend fire here. I bet you were thinking, actually, Sam, I bet you were worrying while we were out there, thinking, Christ, I hope Direct Line doesn't insure this building.
Yeah, I don't think we do. I just wanted to answer that last question. I thought, interesting question from the audience, and I think, and great answer from Andrew. But I think one of the things, I really wanted to focus on in this session really is around, from an advertiser point of view, we always start the customer. What are we trying to achieve? How are we trying to target? What are they doing? How do we get to them? What's the right time to message to them? What's the right message, right time? Marketing 101. And it comes back to what you're trying to do, drive growth for the business, and then how do you reach people at different times, different messages to achieve that? And all this kind of debate sometimes gets in the way of that, and I think that's the core thing really, and it's about how do you really drive business growth? Yeah. Customer doesn't know what a video versus an ad is.
No, they don't care. No.
So why should we?
Okay, all right, well tell us about then. You've opened it up beautifully, Sam. So tell us about Direct Line Group, because the group as a whole is much more than just the famous Winston Wolfe. You've got Churchill, you've got Privilege, you've got Green Flag. So across the group, how do you use TV? And what is its kind of, what is its purpose?
So Direct Line Group, we love TV. TV works for us, regardless of what the product is, how we're trying to achieve growth, it works for us. And it works in a whole number of ways. And we know that TV does drive brand growth. We've seen that in lots of IPA studies. We've seen that in the game theory from Big TV. We've seen that long and short of it, from Field and Binney. We've seen that with Byron Sharp about growth. All this stuff is proven. We know that TV does drive growth, and it's a great medium for Direct Line to do that. And I think for Direct Line, the brand Direct Line, we were going through decline. So 2012, 2013, business was doing this. So we needed to reinvent the business. And in doing that, came up with a great creative idea which was quite risky, Winston Wolfe, using a gangster to represent probably the most mistrusted industry in the UK, was a bit of a risk.
Oh no, there are others that are worse.
There are
now.
others.
Yeah.
There are others.
You
now.
were, but you've been overtaken or undertaken.
So that was a risk in its own right. But enabling us to actually take that idea and put it onto a medium where we could really bring the concept to life, really dramatise what insurance should be really about, and just to see the impact that campaign has had on the business. So 2014, about September 2014, we launched. Double-digit growth 15, double-digit growth 16, double-digit growth 17, and hopefully we'll continue to see that.
So, but are you saying then that in the case of Winston Wolfe, TV was the thing that the whole Direct Line go-to-market strategy
completely? The reboot of the brand was more than just marketing, driven by marketing, but more than just marketing. It meant that we had to come up with propositions that were true to the core concept, the core belief, the purpose, and using TV as the conduit to deliver that to the audience. So, Direct Line is about high performance insurance, and what Winston does is really dramatises that in really good 30-second, traditional 30-second TV ads. And it works. And
does TV have the same role in your other brands? Churchill and Privilege don't have the same profile as Direct Line.
So TV plays a different role. So for Direct Line,
they're more targeted, aren't they?
Yeah. So for Direct Line, we spend a lot of money on TV. We use peak TV to drive short-term and long-term benefit. We use daytime or DR TV to drive short-term return. So that's quite straightforward, traditional. So we have TV on the plan. Probably 3 or 4 lines on the Direct Line plan is TV driven. And then when you look at something like Churchill, where we've underinvested probably in the brand in recent years, and having seen the impact of that underinvestment, particularly on TV, means that we now have to look at it very differently. Different channels have different ROIs. We have the price comparison site. Distribution channel for Churchill. So for that, it's important we do communicate on TV because we do understand the long-term value of it.
And that's to drive people to
drive PCW. So Andrew talked about the multiplier and the game theory. So we know within the Churchill business how important TV is for us in driving us further up the listings in terms of the pull on the PCW websites.
Okay, one of the things that one of Andrew's charts, and I think Jill's was as well, we talked about the 16 to 24-year-old group, and I know that relatively recently for Direct Line, you've used YouTube for vloggers, with vloggers like Alfie Days, presumably to target that particular market. So, I mean, do you count audio-visual content on those platforms as TV? Do you think of it as TV?
We count it as media. We count it as media. We count it as targeting, core audience. So for that example, so Direct Line, the book is getting older. Our policy, our audience is getting older, and we make a lot of money within that sector. And as TV is getting older, we're happy with that. Wastage is good for us. Which is why we spend a lot on traditional TV.
Wastage is good.
Wastage is good because the lot of cost per thousand for us. We know insurance is a ubiquitous product, and it's good for us. So for every £1 we spend on TV, if we are reaching an older audience, then that's not a big problem for us because we make a lot of money out of older people. But then what that does mean is it's getting older, is we have to look at, well, how then do we target? How do we get brand affinity amongst the younger audience? The audience that we want to sell to our new telematics, black box products at 17 years old, right up to when they do become older. So we look at it as an and, not an or. So we'll say, how do we want to additionally target and grow affinity amongst that younger audience in addition to TV?
Yeah, okay.
So we have used YouTube, the Alpha Days campaign that we did. We've just about to launch a second burst of it. Was amazing that it's one piece of activity, one partnership with one big household blogger, which drove 11% increase in brand consideration amongst 17 to 26-year-olds using our brand tracking study. Now that in itself, so that succeeded. It did a different job to what the core TV plan is doing, but it succeeded.
Yeah. Okay.
Similarly, we've done recently Fleet Lights campaign, which is about using our tech or using tech to drive safety, and Smart Crossings, which we just launched, which drove 7 million views on YouTube, Teeds, Facebook. So all this stuff is in addition to
He's telling the narrative
TV.
through the numbers, isn't he? Yeah. Sam, I mean, the consumer journey for insurance is, it's a low-interest category, but it's a complicated journey, isn't it? I mean, although everybody has a kind of renewal date, it is quite a complicated purchase journey. How do you allocate budget for different parts of that journey, and how does that work across different channels?
So it works. So we allocate budget not just across media, but outside media into other activities such outbound calling, for example, in-life communication. So I manage the budget across everything. It comes out of one.
There's one big pot to start with.
So my role in commercial marketing is to drive profitable growth. That might be through acquisition, it might be through retention, it might be through cross-sell, and all the money comes out the same pot. So we do bottom zero-based budgeting, bottom-up planning every single year. Every channel earns its role on the plan, and that's how we build up, purely based on ROI. And that's kind of how it works. And then when the situation changes, we have, we fall back on sales in a certain month. I then relook at the plan and go, what do we use? What channels can we use at our disposal to then top up?
Okay,
spend?
So you're constantly adapting
on a weekly basis.
Right,
I reforecast the year every other week.
Right. Okay. Fine. Well, that's tough. Yeah. But if you're talking about this, allocating budget weekly or whatever it is, and zero-based budgeting, you've got to have the right metrics for your media channels to use. What do you do? Because you don't have apples for apples metrics. How do you manage that?
No, so we look at our core channels.
And you said one of the fundamental channels.
We do. We look at our core channels. We do regular econometric studies, so we understand regression modelling. We understand the value of each channel and how that evolves. So that becomes the base piece of work that we do, and then we look at shorter term metrics along the way to understand whether things are working better or worse than we anticipated. So the recent thing we've been doing is, so we've only just really, to be honest, entered into a more spend within digital and using programmatic methodology, and that gives the ability to move spend. But the challenge we have in our business, because we're such a strong brand on TV, is that this word incrementality. So, I went to a Facebook meeting over in San Fran a couple of months ago, and they're saying, we're going to be honest with you, Facebook probably isn't an incrementality driving channel because TV works. And what advertisers are struggling with is to understand the value of digital on top of TV and whether it really drives incrementality.
YouTube wouldn't say that, would they? Because they're all about getting brands.
They looked at the numbers and they said, and I think when you're looking at small businesses that are entering the market, and I think that is an additional revenue line potentially for TV that we're seeing come through into digital, that then potentially will migrate into TV when addressable drives more opportunity and production costs for creative ads come down, that will become a benefit. But I think at the moment, I think the challenge is if you build digital on top of TV, it's difficult to prove incrementality and at an efficient level that then would move money away, from my experience, would move money away into those channels.
So you're not likely to take your TV budget and cannibalise it to spend more money in...
No, so for us, it's an and. So splitting VOD down into... so we would use, so broadcast VOD, for example, we would use to top up TV when we're launching a new proposition, because you want to get fast 1+ cover in the same way as you might have bought a special, but using broadcast VOD in addition to linear. We might then use... publisher VOD to target in-market customers, so people that we know are about to renew insurance. We'll use publisher VOD to do that through YouTube, Facebook, etc. And then the rest of it sits in display for us. Yeah. Online video sits in display.
All right, we're accelerating through time. It's weird here. Let me ask the audience if they've got any questions. And again, the same thing holds. I can't really see anybody. Yeah, OK, there's one here, down in the third row. Again, just say who you are and where you're from, so we know what particular axe you might be grinding.
Hi there, I'm Martin Greenbank from Channel 4.
OK.
There we go, there's the axe. I suppose the question is, seeing Andrew Challoner's view about long-term, not just the short-term, which I know that you're measuring return on investment through market mix modelling and regression analysis through econometrics. So, if you're thinking about the long term, because that was the new bit of information that came out of the work that they did with ThinkBox, and it seems to have been given some evidence that shows that TV is delivering a significantly more long-term payback than even your own return on investment studies. Does that mean that you're becoming convinced that potentially you're underinvested in TV, even at the state that you've currently got to? You're clearly a fan of TV, but do you think there's still more headroom to push there?
Can you give him more money?
So,
even though he's obviously getting quite a lot of your money.
So the benefit we do have of understanding the long term is that I get to look at our investment through two lenses, through the short-term lens and the long-term, 3-year is our long-term lens. And I know that at that point, that does become a challenging point for me, because it could be, and it is actually, that I have to make a decision to say, do I put money into, I don't know, an affiliate channel on PPC or a digital channel at a cost per acquisition of, say, 80 quid, good ROI, versus TV at 100 quid. But when I look for a 3-year lens, obviously digital is still 80 quid, but TV is no longer 100 quid, it's now 60 quid. So then I go, well, if I put it all into TV, then I'm going to have the same impact in the short term. So for me, it's wrestling the balance between the two, and it's understanding, well, what decisions might we make? So yes, we could. So if I was only through a 3-year lens, yes, I would increase TV spend. But I'm not only looking through a 3-year lens, I'm looking through a 1-year and a 3-year lens. So getting the balance right. So understanding the marginal curves for TV in a 1- and a 3-year lens is really important. And then making it really clear of what's the commercial objective.
For some people, 1 year is still quite a long-term view, actually. But, I mean, they're public companies, so clearly some pressures. Let me ask, thank you. Let me ask, addressable TV. When does that fit into your thinking? Are you using Sky AdSmart already?
So we have used it. We've tested it. We've done a couple of campaigns. One just to get niche awareness for Churchill Home, actually, and another one using data matching, first-party data. So using our warm prospect data and matching with Sky to see whether we could use AdSmart to drive better conversion within our DM channel. So an uplift in DM. So we've done a bit of it, we've tested it. I think the challenge for us, and you know, it does work, it does drive incrementality at a reasonable CPA. The challenge we have, though, is that, as I said before, is this wastage thing. It is more cost effective for me to buy broadcast TV,
right?
Because the wastage drives return, than it is to pay a premium for niche targeted TV. And I think the tipping point for me on addressable, it's the premium against the size of the audience. So if you're using, so it's this balancing between efficiency and effectiveness. If you want the most efficient plan, lowest CPA, you could go very targeted, but there's no scalability in that. And obviously it's about growth, it's about scalability and effectiveness. So I think for me, the tipping point will be at the point when when addressable TV becomes a mass one-to-one channel, so whether that be done by a broadcaster, whether it be aggregated, so I can look at the whole UK population on a delivered through broadcast, but I serve those that are an existing customer one ad, and those that are a new customer another ad, or those that I think might buy home one ad, or those that might buy motor another ad, but still use the broadcast platform to do it, but with targeted creative. That for me is where I think we hit that tipping point. I think the moment we're not near that.
I mean, just on the creative side, are you set up to provide? You've got enough targeted creative, or is that another?
We don't.
Is that something you've also?
But we would.
You would.
But we would. I think my challenge commercially is that we have products, pet insurance, life insurance, Churchill home insurance, where we cannot put them on TV broadcasting because we cannot afford the creative.
Fire safety too, right?
So that's the challenge going forward. How do we make creative more costly? Creative agencies are building new models to do that, so that we can put TV out there by segmenting, by changing creative, and at a low cost, not a £500,000 TV ad, but maybe a £20,000 TV.
Okay, Sam. Final question, and I'm going to ask you. It's a difficult one, but can you just do good, the bad, and the ugly for me? Actually, the bad and the ugly.
So good's obvious.
Really.
So good. TV's fantastic.
TV,
it's a great channel for us. Great channel for lots of advertisers to drive fame. I think for me the big challenges are. Versus digital, because I think the digital versus digital is the bad thing, and how do we compete in that sector? And I think for me, it's how do we make TV easy? How do we trade TV, buy TV, drive impressions or TVRs onto TV at the same speed as we can digitally? Because that means I can use TV as an on-the-moment live trading tool, which I don't at the moment.
But that's programmatic, in other words.
It's programmatic. So that for me would be a big one. And I think the other thing, the ugly, I think, is this debate between digital and TV. I think whilst all the issues are going on with YouTube and viewability, transparency, or online brand safety, I think that's a time where the relationship between TV, the integration between TV and digital has been paused. I think let that happen over here, but while that's happening, start to pick up the pace on the integration piece, because don't let it be a distraction, because that's a great distraction. Advertisers are going to start moving money to TV, which we've already seen they are, but they need to get that integration piece. They need to understand how to measure a core business KPI cross-media. And that for me is the big opportunity for moving money forward, I think.
Okay, and the big hurdle for many advertisers.
Big hurdle.
Right. Sam, thank you so much. That was fantastic. Will you give Sam a big round of applause?
Thank you.